There were times, not many, but a few, when Jon Snow was glad he was a bastard. The very first words of Jon Snow's very first chapter. And the final scene of that chapter has this.
Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you.
So the concept of bastardy is at the heart of Jon Snow's story. We know meow that Jon Snow is not technically a bastard. Rhaegar and Lyanna were married.
His name is Aegon Targaryen.
Rhaegar was a dude chasing prophecy, so he named his first son Aegon, and he must have determined that his first son was not the prophesized Lightbringer, so he named his second son Aegon. Makes sense. The question is, will Jon Snow change his name to either Aegon Targaryen or Jon Stark? Neither. Jon Snow will die as Jon Snow. There's a clue from all the way back in Book 3 and Season 3. In the world of Game of Thrones, some people look at bastards as wanton and treacherous by nature, having been born of lust and deceit, lust and lies, lust and weakness. Even the High Septon at one point said that all bastards are born to betrayal. You get the point. Some people are prejudiced against bastards. Obviously, that's ridiculous.
Your name is Jon Snow, but your father's name was Ned Stark.
I'm a bastard.
Is the custom different in North?
We don't have marriage in Narth, so the concept of a bastard doesn't exist.
But it is what it is. Bastards are viewed with prejudice, and they have less rights than legally born children.
But he'll be the heir.
I'm Lord Bolton's eldest son.
But you're a bastard. A trueborn will always have the stronger claim.
Some characters' prejudice towards bastards goes even further. Selyse Baratheon, for example. She believed that she would not be able to give Stannis a boy until they killed the bastard Edric Storm, or Gendry in the show. She did not believe she'd be able to have a boy until they killed the bastard whom King Robert had conceived on their bed on their wedding night. That's pretty nuts. That level of prejudice against bastards is very dangerous. That's why Jon Snow has always wanted to prove people wrong, to show his Lord Father that he could be as good and true a son as Robb. And that's why many Game of Thrones fans do not want Jon Snow to ever change his name, because it's just a name. And we don't want this fictional world to forget everything that this so-called bastard has accomplished.
I went to save them, I failed. You didn't fail him. Or him. Or her.
He is the first to make allies of wildlings and Northmen. He was named Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. He was named King in the North. Not because of his birthright. He has no birthright. He's a damn bastard. All those hard sons of bitches chose him as their leader because they believe in him.
Here's the good news. There's a clue very early in the story that Jon Snow is gonna keep his name. A clue from an unlikely character, our boy Greyworm. So the Unsullied of Astapor were given new names every single day to prevent them from forming an identity of their own.
All Unsullied boys are given new names when they are cut. Greyworm, Red Flea, Black Rat, names that remind them what they are. Vermin.
After Dany freed them, she let them choose their own names, names that would give them pride. Some chose their birth names, those who still remembered them at least. Others had called themselves after heroes or gods, and sometimes weapons, gems, and even flowers, which resulted in soldiers with some very peculiar names to Dany's ears. Greyworm had remained Greyworm. When she asked him why, he said, "Greyworm gives me pride. It is a lucky name. The name this one was born to was accursed. That was the name he had when he was taken as a slave. But Greyworm is the name this one drew the day Daenerys Stormborn set him free." So we're talking Greyworm here. Greyworm does not have a relationship with Jon Snow, but the concept of choosing a new name or not definitely rhymes with Jon Snow's situation. This is a clue that Jon Snow, the man who's always wanted to be a Stark,
All my life, I wanted to be Jon Stark.
the man who turned down the opportunity to be a Stark,
But I have to refuse you.
the man whose true name is
Aegon Targaryen.
he's gonna die as none other than Jon Snow. To play devil's advocate for all you Aegon Targaryen fans out there, we've got this scene here, a scene where Jaime Lannister speaks about Mad King Aerys thinking that he'd be
Reborn as a dragon.
and it turns out this is a scene where Jaime was reborn, where Jaime dies in the arms of the woman he loves. The very next scene is our girl Shireen bringing Davos a book about Aegon the Conqueror, saying this.
This word is Aegon. When you see A, E, and G together like that, it sounds like egg.
Then we get the Greyworm scene that I mentioned. So we've got the concept of rebirth in this scene, then Aegon's name being Egg, and then the Greyworm name scene. Survey says Jon Snow is an egg, and Jon Snow will hatch in Season 8 as Aegon Targaryen. I'm just playing. Jon Snow is always going to be Jon Snow.
Never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not.
History's going to remember him as Jon Snow.
He's a bastard of Winterfell. The bastard of Winterfell.
Bastard of Winterfell.
Bastard of Winterfell. I'm a bastard.
But here's a bigger question that we should all be asking. Their baby. Will Jon and Dany's baby be a bastard? Benjen told Jon that
you don't understand what you'd be giving up.
By becoming a brother of the Night's Watch, that Jon should come back to him after he fathered a few bastards. And Jon snapped at him with venom, saying, I will never father a bastard. Never. Later, Jon told Tormund that he would never father a bastard, with a nice little nod to Bael the Bard if you look closely. So what do you think? Will Jon's child be a bastard? My money's on Jon having a bastard named Robb, cause the times they are changing.
Bastards can rise high in the world. Like your half-brother. Born the bastard of Winterfell, now the Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
I'm not a Stark.
You are to me.
Aegon Targaryen changed the rules.
That's why they remember his name 300 years after he died. The Aegon whom we know as Jon Snow is one of many doing the same.
Jon Snow.
Changed the rules.
The rules were wrong.
That's why every child alive still knows his name, 300 years after his death.
Jon and his sisters.
And the snows fall and the white winds blow. The lone wolf dies, but the pack survives.
I miss him.